Good morning. I will now call to order the May 19, 2022 Clackamas County Board of Commissioners business meeting. Gary Schmidt, would you please take the roll?
Yes, Chair. First, our staff support today. Clerk to the Board, Tony Mayernick. County Counsel, Stephen Madcore. Roll call, Commissioner Savas.
Present.
Commissioner Schrader.
Here.
Commissioner Fisher.
Here.
Commissioner Shull.
Here.
Chair Smith.
Here. I will now lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty for justice for all. Thank you, and good morning, everyone. We are holding this meeting in person and virtually. If you've joined us via Zoom for this meeting and are interested in providing public comment, we will prompt you regarding how to do that when the time is right. General public comment will be taken at the usual allotted time. I would like to remind all participants, including staff, all elected officials, and members of the public, that Robert's Rules of Orders will be enforced in this business meeting. We welcome your opinions and look forward to your polite participation. I will now recess as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as the Housing Authority Board. Gary, can you introduce the first item?
Yes, Chair Smith. This is a consent agenda for the Housing Authority. First, Tony, is Ann Leenstra, Housing Commissioner, on Zoom?
Not at the moment.
Okay, if she does join, we'll bring her in. This is the Housing Authority consent agenda. Tony, would you please read the consent agenda?
Item 1, approval of a resolution authorizing a $3 million loan of regional affordable housing bond funds and an allocation of 40 project-based regional long-term care rental assistance vouchers to support the Merrillhurst Commons Affordable Housing Project. Projected value of the loan and vouchers is $8,880,996. Funding is through Metro Regional Affordable Housing Bond Funds and Supportive Housing Services Funds. No county general funds are involved. Item 2, approval of an amendment to the intergovernmental agreement with Metro for the Affordable Housing Bond Program, adding cooling unit requirements and funding for bond-funded affordable housing projects. Amendment value is $1,666,000. New total agreement value is $115,154,094. Funding is through regional Metro housing bond proceeds. County general fund, no county general funds are involved.
Thank you, Tony. Does any commissioner wish to remove anything off this consent agenda? Tony, has Ann Leenstra joined us by chance?
She is not, Madam Chair.
She is?
She is not.
Okay, thank you. I will entertain a motion.
I move. Go ahead, Commissioner.
I move for approval of the Housing Authority consent agenda.
Second.
Commissioner Shull has moved for approval of the Housing Authority consent agenda. Commissioner Schrader has seconded the motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Tony, would you please take the poll?
Commissioner Savas?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader?
Aye.
Commissioner Shull?
Aye.
Chair Smith?
Aye, motion passes 4-0. Okay, Gary, what's next?
If you would please adjourn as the Housing Authority Board.
I will now adjourn as the Housing Authority Board and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners.
Next is the regular county consent agenda. Tony, would you please read the consent agenda?
Momentarily, yes. Elected officials, item 1, approval of the May 12, 2022 business meeting minutes for the Board of County Commissioners. Transportation and Development, item 1, approval to apply for a rural surface transportation grant to replace the existing bridge across the Bull Run River on Bull Run Road. Grant value is $11,509,700 with matching funds of $2,867,425 funded through county road funds and $10,000 funded through Weyerhaeuser. No county general funds are involved. Item 2, approval to apply for a Metro funding opportunity to fund abandoned RV disposal, bulky waste removal at affordable housing communities, and temporary supplemental waste removal at up to 5 encampment sites. Total value is $378,000. Funding is through Metro. No county general funds are involved. Finance, item 1, approval of amendment to a contract with Moss Adams Limited Liability Partnership for audit services, extending the duration of the contract to April 30th, 2023. Amendment value not to exceed $342,700. Total contract value not to exceed $2,164,400. Funding is through cost allocations to departments, which may be funded by various funding sources, and budgeted county general funds.
Thank you, Tony. Does anybody wish to remove anything from this consent agenda? I will entertain a motion.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Commissioner Schrader has moved for approval of the consent agenda, and Commissioner Savas has seconded that motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Tony, would you please take the poll?
Commissioner Schull,
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas,
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Chair Smith.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Wow, we are now at public communication. That went fast. The portion of the agenda shall be limited to items of county business which are properly the object of board consideration and should be nonpartisan in nature, as the BCC is a nonpartisan governing body under Oregon Revised Statutes and County Code. Testimony is limited to 3 minutes. Comments shall be respectful and courteous to all. As a reminder, you can email submissions for public communication at bcc@clackamas.us, and these will be accepted as part of the public record. However, we will not be reading them at the business meeting due to time constraints. I will now open the meeting for public testimony. I will take the first person in the room, and I do have one blue card. Scott Klein, would you please come forward, state your name, area of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Scott Klein. Last name is spelled Kline. I'm the Division Chief Fire Marshal for the Hoodland Fire District. My residence is in Welches, Oregon, and I'm here on behalf of the Hoodland Fire District to talk or to give communications to the Board of County Commissioners. Hoodland Fire District is supportive of the formation of the Parks District that was done on the election that just happened on Tuesday. The fire district also, if the measure fails, would like to be considered for the lands of the former Dorman Center to be transferred to Hoodland Fire District for a site of a new fire station. Currently, our main fire station was built in 1966 and is not seismically sound. It's been added onto several times. And as we have 24-hour staffing right now, they are sleeping in a job shack out back. So we are looking at trying to increase our abilities to provide quality service to our community. We currently are working on alternatives for our sleeping arrangements, and one of them, we are meeting with county planning and building to try to put our administrative offices out on part of our property currently, and then changing our office area into dormitories for firefighters. In addition to this, Oregon Department of Transportation has plans to lessen our entrance onto Highway 26. So our fire engines are going to have a smaller area to gain access to the highway. I understand, looking at the ballot measure that was put out, 3-581, there were 4 pieces of property. The ones that we were really looking at were where the former Dorman Center is, the area that is zoned open space management. While looking through the zoning and development ordinance, open space management does allow for a fire station under conditional use. And on top of that, it would need to have a park-type atmosphere. So we're looking at possibly a plaza or leaving the community garden and a community meeting room. And so I would like the board to consider this opportunity, and I thank you for allowing me time to make comment.
Well, Chief Klein, this is a very interesting offer that I had not heard before. I'm intrigued by it. I don't know how we get there, Gary, whether it passes or fails. I just don't know if, let's go down the line here and say this was an opportunity for you, and you somehow either were granted or acquired the land. Do you have financial means available to either remodel or build a new fire hall and station?
At this time, we are proposing to look at a general obligation bond to build a fire station. Over the past 20-plus years, we've had a building reserve fund in our budget, but as buildings increase in cost, we're unable to put money away to purchase a building outright.
So you do have a little bit of cash, possibly?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is interesting. Commissioner Savas?
Yeah, that is kind of intriguing. I don't know what the outcome's going to be on that measure because there's so few of the ballots counted and the proportion, I mean, the numbers aren't really real just to some degree, so I don't know what's going to happen. But if it does not pass and the situation presents itself, there is definitely a pent-up demand or concern or interest in a community, whether it's a center or a place for the community to meet. And it seems that could be, and I don't know if you're open to that. I'd certainly like to explore all the options of how that could, work together in becoming a place or a couple places on the site or sites nearby. So just to put that out there, just to think about, just plant the seed to think about how we can bring in a community element into that, as well as your operations, if that were to happen.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah, that sounds very exciting. Fire halls are always, I've always grown up with a wonderful affection toward them. We've had community events like in Malala Fire Hall. It is a place for community, and that's a very good idea. Any other comments for Chief Klein on this? Thank you. Be under staff consideration. Commissioner Scholl.
Yeah, Chief Klein, I want to say I've been up in your neck of the woods and been at events for Hoodland Fire. Hoodland Fire has got a real big responsibility up there on Highway 26. The population in the area lives out in the woods. When you go up to Highway 26, you have no idea of the hundreds of houses that are off Highway 26 up that way. I go by your fire station, and I've always commented that it looks a little bit in need of a facelift at least. So your idea is really good. Like Commissioner Savas said, if you could, we'll see what happens on the count on Hoodland Park District. But if we could look at this and incorporate the idea of a park into a new firehouse, that would be a really good asset for the people of the Welch's area. Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Tony, that's the last in-person we have today for testimony. Do you have anybody online?
Madam Chair, I have one registered. John Redding. Sir, please state your name and area of residence. You will have 3 minutes. Mr. Redding, I am unable to hear you.
Are you able to hear me now?
I can hear you now, sir.
Okay, thank you for your time this morning. I'm following up. I contacted in the same manner the county board, I think about 4 weeks ago, about a motorhome that has been abandoned near my house. And I was wondering if there's been any progress in that removal of that machine.
Yes, is that your only question, sir?
Yes.
Okay, we'll address that. Gary or Stephen?
Stephen, please.
Good morning. I'm not familiar with the location of Mr. Redding's motorhome, and the name doesn't ring a bell, but I will say that the county has been tracking upwards to 40 abandoned motorhomes, recreational vehicles that are on within the county, on roadways, on public property, and we have been towing them and disposing of them on a as needed and as allowed basis, the ones that are the most present hazards in traffic and sight lines and things like that are the ones that are given the highest priority. As the board, we'll make sure that Mr. Redding's machine is on the list. Mr. Redding will make it a priority. As you just saw, we applied to Metro for hundreds of thousands of dollars for a grant to allow us to remove some of those as well. So right now, it's a matter of time and money in getting these things removed. But we'll make sure Mr. Redding's is addressed and included on the list.
Thank you for that. Thank you for your call, Mr. Redding.
Chair, can we, if he's still on, like, can we ask him what street it's on?
Yeah, he did last week. Is he still there?
Mr. Redding, you're on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, it's on Southeast Merganser,
Okay.
near the intersection of Mabel Avenue.
Yep. We've got a lot of calls on that. We're on it.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Redding. Okay, Tony, anybody else?
Madam Chair, I do not have anyone else registered to speak. If there is anyone who would like to testify, please use the raise hand feature. Madam Chair, I do not have any hands raised.
Okay, I will now close the public communication portion of this meeting, and we will move on. Gary, what's next?
Next is County Administrator Update. That's me. I always like to share good news about the work of our county programs and our employees. First, May is Older Americans Month, and I want to recognize our Senior Companion Program, which is a program in our Health, Housing, and Human Services Social Services Division. This program recruits volunteers to provide older adults with companionship, transportation, technological help, and other services that help them continue to live in their own homes. A volunteer named Mary recently shared she was emotionally, mentally, and physically ill when she retired. She felt isolated, but reports that volunteering as a senior companion was one of her best decisions she ever made for herself. Her clients tell her that they wouldn't have made it this far if it weren't for her services, and Mary herself now feels like she has a purpose every day when she gets up. So Mary, thank you for being one of our volunteers for the Senior Companion Program, and thank you to our staff at H3S that helps administer this program. Next, our Veterans Services Office, also within Social Services of Health, Housing, and Human Services, reports the introduction of new conditions on the Vietnam Veteran Agent Orange Presumptive List that has allowed our office to help more county veterans and survivors access benefits. In 3 separate cases, our office has helped claimants obtain $100,000 in retroactive benefits, plus between $1,500 and $3,000 in new monthly benefit payments. So thank you to our veteran service officers and the work they do every day to support our veterans. Next, our Clackamas County residents who use our libraries have the chance to pay their library bills online. Business and Community Services, Library Support Services worked with LINC, L-I-N-C-C, which is Libraries in Clackamas County, to create a custom payment solution on the LINC website. So library customers who may have fines to pay can now pay them online. So thank you to our staff for helping facilitate that program. Finally, our Planning for Climate Change in Clackamas County survey is now online. This is part of our staff's work on developing the climate action plan that the board has directed us to do, which will ensure that our county achieves carbon neutrality by the year 2050. Community and youth task forces have worked to identify initial climate actions, and the team is now seeking public input on those potential actions. All members of the public are encouraged to take the time to respond to this survey. It is online at our county website, www.clackamas.us, and the survey will be open through June 30. And of course, we'll report those results to you, commissioners, after we have them. That is my update today. Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, Gary. Up next is Commissioner Communication. Commissioner Schrader, you're up first.
Well, thank you so much, Chair. I'm going to start with a library update because one of the things I get every week is updates from the Library of Congress, which in my estimation is one of the most beautiful buildings in Washington, D.C. So if you ever get a chance to go to D.C., Chair Smith and I have been there together. We've got a photo.
We have.
Yeah,
It's
it's
gorgeous.
gorgeous. beautiful. But I was also there at a time when they did not have a children's section, and now they do. And they have also increased the number of children's programs they have. And they have a national ambassador for young people's literature. Jason Reynolds is touring the country meeting kids in rural communities and school districts in rural communities. You can still propose your school for a fall 2020 National Ambassador for Young People's event where every child can be a reader by May, and you can apply. It's getting close to the wire by May 2022, but be aware that these programs are available for you and that you can have authors who are well-known for children's literature actually visit your classrooms. A couple of other things is that the Teddy Bear Parade, I'll be there on Saturday, is hosted by the Oregon City Lions Club. It's back in person, and you can donate new teddy bears and stuffed animals along the route on Main Street in downtown Oregon City on Saturday, May 21st at 10:30 a.m. Evidently, I get to judge that. I'm not sure what that means, if I get the pick the biggest teddy, the best dressed teddy, whatever that may be, but I am planning on being there with the Lions Club, and I'm really looking forward to it because, colleagues, I think the weather's supposed to be good this weekend. As
Good.
far as I know, so that's good. Another piece I'd like to mention is workforce. Clackamas Community College is partnering with WorkSource Oregon to host a career fair on May 24th at their campus. It will be an in-person event where job seekers can explore career pathways. Some of the businesses that will be there are Benchmade Knives, which is our neighbor here on our campus, or close to our campus, Entel, Clackamas County, so we will be there with job openings for people that want career pathways, Clackamas Education Service District, Providence Health, and Amazon, and more. And Amazon is newly located in Canby, so they will be looking for workers too. I also wanted to talk a little bit because, farmers markets, that's what I really wanted to end with here. As you know, you can go to our website on the Mount Hood territory here, and you can get a list of all the farmers markets that are now open for the spring, and we pretty much have them. I had it pulled up here. I'm not sure if I can find it again. But we have farmers markets pretty much throughout the entire county. And here we go. And that includes the Willamette Summer Street Market, Willamette Falls Drives. We have a farmers market in Molalla, Wilsonville, Mount Hood Farmers Market, Lake Oswego, Oregon Cities, Happy Valley and Sunnyside Farmers Market, the Canby's Farmers Market, and the Estacada Farmers Market. And then the one on Sunday is Milwaukee Sunday Farmers Market. And you can look at all of their dates and times up on the Mount Hood territory. It's part of our tourism program. And as you all know, I like to go to farmers markets, purchase fresh produce, and come up with a recipe with cooking for the commissioner. So hopefully, now that we've got the new markets moving on, we can move ahead, and I can continue to help do some really fun culinary things. And also, when I do it, I also have folks to interview on the program, and I have talked with folks to see if we could talk about our Granges and have visitors from the Grange to interview, and they can talk about all the good food they fix when they have their meetings and their breakfasts. I think that would be a fun one to do. So with that, Chair, okay?
Thank you
Great.
very much, Commissioner Schrader. Commissioner Scholl, you're up next.
Yes, good morning, Clackamas County. That's pretty funny about the library fines, because I walked into a library, I hadn't been in there for 15 years. They said, Mr. Scholl, you have a 95% fine. The libraries never forget. On the county budget for FY 22-23, like I mentioned last week, the county staff's been working on their department budgets. We're going to start deliberation on those budgets next week. And next Wednesday, 25 May, at 6 o'clock, in this room and on Zoom, citizens of Clackamas County can have an opportunity to weigh in on the budget. You can read on clackamas.us/budget, read up on the 800 pages of delightful reading. On wildfire defense and preparation, I'd like to thank the disaster management personnel of the county, Fire Station number 19, Eagle Creek, and our Sheriff Department for an informative wildfire community preparation event on Tuesday evening. Do not wait until a fire comes to your neighborhood to look into the disaster management website for information. Also, something that everyone in the county needs to do right now is to sign up for the ClackCo public alerts at clackamas.us/dm/public alerts. That's going to give you on your cell phone or on your house phone emergency status alerts should a disaster or fire come to your neighborhood. Please be prepared now. Don't wait. Also, on the county disaster management website, you'll find a schedule for a similar wildfire preparation type meetings in your neighborhood. On housing and homelessness, please see the Clackamas County Housing Authority website. Read up on the different types of transitional housing projects that we're looking for to partner with our business, nonprofits, and other churches and other entities in the county, so we can get these projects built to provide safety off the streets to our homeless community. We need everybody's involvement. Please see the website and see how you can help. While other entities, other counties and cities flounder on this problem, Clackamas County is intent on addressing the problem, and we need your help. Also, on the Clackamas County Housing Authority website, look at the Middle Housing HB 2001. This is an issue that's going to be coming more and more to the public's attention, and you need to know how that would affect your neighborhood in a positive or in a negative way. On voting, you've all heard about the problem with the barcodes in Clackamas County. I want to assure everybody that the county clerk, along with the help of the county staff and county administrator, is well on the way to solving the problem and doing a workaround. You can learn more about this on the clerk's website. And for those of you who have time, stop in to the clerk's office in the viewing area and watch how this process is being done. And thank you again to the county staff and to the clerk's office and to all of our volunteers who have come to help with this problem. And on tolling and fentanyl, you've heard me talk about these issues many times, and I encourage everyone in the county to be familiar with these two topics. And one last thing, I'd like to remind folks of the Clackamas County Connect Shuttle. That's the little blue buses that you'll see around Oregon City and the Clackamas industrial area. These are particularly helpful for people who don't have cars or up in age and they don't want to drive anymore, because this is a free shuttle and it's got what they call deviated fixed routes. That means that you can call 24 hours ahead of time and ask to be picked up. So folks that don't drive, that want to stay plugged into shopping, family, they want to get down to the shopping centers, they can do that. And the number, 971-358-0623. Nobody in the area need be isolated for lack of transportation. And thank you, Clackamas County. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Commissioner Scholl. Commissioner Fisher, you're up next.
Thank you, Chair Smith. I wanted to highlight today one little bit of work that I don't think I've shared with my commissioners, and it's kind of outside of the scope of what our realm is, but I know that each of us are advocates within other systems, and I hear about this as we have conversations with each other, but we seldom share them on commissioner communication. So a few months ago, a group that was called the Youth Prevention team, which is a group of providers facilitated by Pam Rivers, who's our wraparound coordinator here in Clackamas County. It's a group of school counselors, other folks from nonprofits, a broad array of professionals that get together and they talk about the system for youth prevention and where the issues are. I was invited just to listen a while ago, and one of the key issues coming out of COVID was the tremendous amount of time that it took for when these professionals, these school counselors, these nonprofit counselors, or teachers, whoever it was calling to report child abuse. It would take hours to be able to report that child abuse, and it was creating tremendous concerns as children were returning back to school. So I took that information and I just basically, literally all I did was I called the governor's liaison, I talked to a few key legislators, I checked with the DHS legislative policy director and just let them know what was happening in Clackamas County. When I went to this group this morning, now they have changed their name to the Barrier Busters, this group, they said that the wait time is minutes or immediate to report child abuse. And there was story after story of success. So I've got some thank you cards to write today after hearing of these great successes. Some things that are on the horizon that are important for us to understand, and I learned quite a bit listening to them. We all know that we have a mental health services crisis. Well, we know that within our housing crisis, it's a problem that has created not enough housing all around. And there's not enough housing because it hasn't been built, and there's all this compression, and we have rising costs and increased challenges. And we kind of get our head around that as policymakers. It's like, oh, yeah, we get that. Well, what I learned today is that what's happening in the mental health system for children is that, first of all, COVID had a big effect on providers. There are less providers for children's mental health services. Day treatment programs, some very important ones, have closed. There is not, the staff shortage in the mental health field for children is so affecting services. So there is this compression, not only from getting into the door for counseling, but having an emergency response in our emergency rooms for children experiencing acute mental health crisis, to then, if they are going to be let out of the hospital, to any type of service upon leaving the hospital, and then a tremendous lack of coordination between hospital and schools. So some very challenged children are being let out of the hospital and the schools aren't being coordinated with. So we talked about all of these issues, tremendous amount of challenges, and my brain just starts going, okay, well, how can we better coordinate between hospitals and schools? I'm sure there's privacy laws. We have to figure out a way to streamline that system like we did when we did child fine for children, young children with disabilities. Their doctors are now making those referrals. It's a systems challenged issue. So these are the opportunities that we as commissioners, we are not in charge of any of this. But we are voices, and our connections as commissioners with our state legislators, with our hospital systems, with our governor's office. And for me as the chair of the Children and Families Committee nationally for our National Association of Counties, to take all of this that's happening right here in Clackamas County, these challenges, these issues, they are local, they are state, but they are federal. So our voices matter, and they make a huge difference. And I share that with you all today, hopefully to encourage you all. I know you're doing it. I know you're doing that work as we advocate for our constituents. And I love to hear those stories from you as well.
Thank you, Commissioner Fisher. Commissioner Savas, you're up.
Yeah, well, kids are certainly our future and our most cherished and also our most vulnerable. So it's a worthy effort, and hopefully our voices will carry. And I think one area which I'm not, if we could all get on board, whether it's our legislative or AOC or whatever we can do, is we can get more mental health and drug alcohol treatment centers and staffing in this state and in this region and in this county. Certainly have that need. What I wanted to talk about today, can't help it, Commissioner Scholl touched on it a little bit, but we've been talking a lot about the barcode challenge, the readers and the ballot issues, and only a small percentage of the votes have been counted. Of course, you know, there's a lot of people very concerned, and a lot of people are critical, and I understand that, and I think people are probably learning how, whose responsibility in our elected capacities is what, and what our limits are as a commission, and what the responsibilities are. But this is also a state issue. You know, the state, our elections offices are managed by the Secretary of State, and I was hopeful actually on Monday over the weekend, that I had heard that on Monday, the Secretary of State's office was going to be in our offices, or the elections office, not our offices, but elections office to, you know, and I thought, perhaps I understood it wrong, maybe to look at, you know, ways to handle this crisis, knowing that perhaps what was underestimated were how many ballots were really, you know, compromised. And, you know, I certainly can respect the Secretary of State's decision to, you know, implement the damaged ballot procedure, which is in statute, I guess. But I don't think that they, or we, or any of us really, I can't blame anyone for that, how the magnitude and number of votes that are really in jeopardy here that are probably compromised. So the size of the problem is much larger, and had we, you know, of course, you know, hindsight's 20/20, had we known what we know now, you know, maybe we could have got our forces in alignment and got our help and everything. But I will say this, you know, to me, I've done through a lot of crises in my past life, you know, in industry and in racing and being on the track, or dealing with a crisis where someone got injured, and whatever you could do to save someone or save a situation. And you know, to me, there's got to be, if we put a man on the moon, we could come up with a better means of duplicating these ballots. I mean, I've got a, you know, it's one thing to complain and criticize, and there's value in that. I totally get that. But there's got to be another solution to manually do that many ballots. And if we can learn anything from this exercise, is that there's got to be a system that can be put in place that could scan these ballots and reprint the results, or the markings of the ballot choice onto a new ballot with a clean barcode. There's got to be a way. And maybe we can't do that as quickly, but, you know, frankly, there should have been another direction. And I got to imagine it'd be difficult for every state where, and every elections office around this country, when they have a challenge, is that they have at least one hand tied behind their back, because they don't have full discretion. They have to rely on the Secretary of State. Secretary of State is also not really in the offices to understand that. So it's a shared responsibility. But gosh, there's just got to be a better way to go about this. You know, because it could be 2 weeks or more before we really know. 2 weeks, and we could put a lot of people behind this, and God bless everyone. I want to just great thanks to everyone, to all the volunteers, the staffing. As I understand, it's a grueling, unpleasant job to doing what they're doing. It's hectic enough, and I know this from past elections, you know, from 3 or 4 weeks leading up to the election, even before then, and then the election day, and then thereafter, those staff and the volunteers are working furiously process a normal ballot, a normal election process. So to have all of this on top of that, they just don't have the capacity, the people. We didn't foresee this coming. So I just hope that maybe if someone could come up with a better idea of processing this, maybe we can cut a week or 2 off this count. Maybe not, but there's got to be a way. We have too much technology out there to say that we have to hand count these, and I hopefully that some folks there in the printing world or the scanning world can come up with a solution and put something together in the coming days. Those are my comments for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Savas. Excuse me. Yes, a lot of my time in the last 2 days has been centered around the elections situation. And I got a couple of emails from people, and I just want to remind the folks, they says, well, how do I know my ballot's been received? You can actually go online at the elections website, and there's a button that says track my ballot. And as soon as the ballot comes in, it's recorded and it's tracked that it has been received. not necessarily counted, but your ballot has been counted, and that might relieve a lot of people of their angst and anxiety, whether their ballots have made it or not. Also, you can check online here at Clackamas County for the YouTube videos that were made from yesterday's Board of Commissioners meeting, a press conference I held, and then a second press conference that our clerk, Sherry Hall, has held. And you will get a lot of information and possibly get your questions answered. This is a math problem moving forward. We are equipped to deal with it. On a very personal note, and on a humane note, I'd like to thank all of the county employees who have stepped up to this difficult situation and are helping out our elections clerk, because let's face it, our voting and our elections is one of the most precious rights we have as citizens of the United States of America. I know it's uncomfortable. I know some people are saying, gee, do I have to do it? No, you don't have to. But volunteering, although you're paid, going the extra mile is always, always a comforting feeling once you've completed the task. Today, I have a meeting with the mayors of Clackamas County. We call it the Mayors and Chair meeting, for an opportunity, our monthly meeting, to discuss what's going on. I have a feeling we'll be discussing this issue today. Just saying. Next week, the board will be participating in budget meetings. We have not had, and we will not have a business meeting. However, if the public is interested in watching, and you can go to clackamascounty.us/budget for more information. You can also participate and testify on Wednesday, May 25th at 6 p.m. on the budget and give us your opinion. That is welcome both in person and, excuse me, on Zoom. I think my voice is running out, so now is a good time to adjourn. Thank you.